Now we arrive at that final turn where the deepest layer of the Chitta is about to open. You are listening to me, and I am walking you through each moment, the same moments that arrived in that man's life and which, for any human being, become the most reality-testing turning point. One morning, the man woke up and felt that something different was needed now. All the earlier revelations were good, some relief, some clarity, but now he wanted an experience that could survive the friction of everyday life. He wondered what would change if awareness were brought into daily living. He decided that today he would face the fear that always hid beneath his tracks, the fear he had never named. You know, naming a fear is already half the healing. But we often avoid naming it because naming brings responsibility. Still, he gathered the courage, and as soon as he sat on the chair, said, "All right, I want to know the name of my fear." And the inner voice replied, "All right, my name is not loneliness. My name is the deep fear of rejection." He took a meditative posture, but this time he did something different. With his eyes closed, he asked himself, rejection from whom? The first bundle of thoughts opened, old people, old words, old confrontations. Then he went deeper and discovered that rejection had not begun with one single incident, but with a continuous experience. Each time he had asked for help, the responses had sounded like, "We're busy, do it later, it's not necessary." Small hopes met small refusals again and again until the Chitta accepted it as truth. You should not dare to ask because asking will lead to rejection. Suddenly, the man began to see how this belief was running his adult relationships. He could not become vulnerable on time because the Chitta whispered, "If you open up, you will be rejected." He realized that many times he chose silence because silence does not face rejection, but that same silence was blocking real exchange. Then came the next moment, simple yet terrifying. He said to himself, "So, was I shrinking my life because of the fear of rejection?" And truly, when you ask this question, all the small locked doors inside the Chitta begin to open one by one. He remembered a teacher who once said, "You just stay quiet, you don't need to speak." Then a friend casually remarked, "You don't talk much." These small tones had slowly cut down his courage, so quietly that he never even noticed. He broke down crying, but these were not tears of fear. They were the release of hopes that had been suppressed for years. As he cried, he called out to the small children within himself, "Come, you never learned to speak because you were taught fear." The children arrived, laughing and crying at the same time, and the man laughed too, with a trembling smile. He laughed because he realized how huge a cinema he had been running inside himself. A whole set, masks, drama, and all those props existed just to hide one small fear. Something else happens here. When you meet your deepest fear, the mind changes tactics. The man noticed that the mind had entered negotiation mode. Look, keep some safe zone. Don't open everything at once. But now he took a different step. He spoke to the mind like an old childhood friend and said, "All right, you worry, but I will move forward." This was not surrender. It was intelligent surrender. Surrender with agency. Then he did a small practice that gurus often talk about, but perhaps you've never done in this exact context. He inhaled slowly, and with every inhale he said, "I accept." As he exhaled, he said, "I let go." These two words, acceptance and letting go, reached the deepest layers of his Chitta that day. As he accepted the fear of rejection, it began losing its power. As he let go, old contracts like "I must be perfect to be accepted" slowly began to dissolve. You might be thinking, is this just emotional catharsis? No.
This is connected to neural, biological, and social patterns as well. When you repeatedly observe a belief, name it, and let it go, that belief begins to detach from your nervous system. Old synaptic pathways that used to trigger fear start weakening, and new pathways form that allow acceptance and curiosity. In simple words, your brain literally retrains itself. The man sat like this for 3 days. Each time, he pulled out one belief, named it, and let it go with the breath. With every belief released, he felt lighter. Then came a point when he realized that the core threat inside him was not a survival threat, it was an emotional belonging threat. And when the nature of the threat changes, our methods change too. Now comes the true meaning of surrender. This surrender was not passive, it was active surrender, meaning he learned to control less and be present more. He was learning to be the observer, not the escape artist. Only the observer can notice every move of the mind and gently open every file of the Chitta without identifying with it again. One evening, while sitting in a park, his gaze rested on people around him like any ordinary day. He saw a mother smiling at her child and saying, "You're just being yourself, and I see you." That image startled him. He understood that this was the small gap he had felt in childhood, just one pair of eyes that would see and say, "I see you, you're okay." That day he said to himself, "I will become the I once needed." And then real change entered his behavior through small decisions. For the first time, he showed vulnerability in a relationship and said, "This feels difficult for me. I'm afraid I'll be rejected." The other person paused, then said, "We didn't even know you felt this way." That pause, that attention, that acknowledgement, what followed was not rejection, but a relational shift. He understood that the fear of rejection often creates expectations, and expectations, even when unmet, turn into bitterness. Gradually, he noticed that when he spoke his truth, people were often not as negative as he had imagined. Some supported him, some didn't respond, but the most important thing was that no one erased his identity through rejection. And even when someone truly did reject him, it no longer shook his internal ground, because now there was an observer within him whose identity was not tied to external acceptance. This learning transformed his life. At work, the hesitation with which he used to avoid new projects made sense now. The Chitta had earlier taught him failure equals rejection equals identity under threat. Once he realized that failure is feedback, not identity, he began applying for those projects. In relationships, he dropped duplicity and moved toward vulnerability. And most subtly, his days began to carry a new kind of ease in small moments. I want to tell you one final thing. This process of awareness and surrender is not linear. Sometimes you will step back. Sometimes the mind and Chitta will replay old scripts. But now the difference is this. Even when you fall, you get up faster because you are the observer. You recognize, oh, this is that old file. And simply by recognizing it, you no longer identify with it again. So when you ask yourself, will I ever reach the deepest bottom? The answer is not about reaching, and it's not about staying there too. The practice is to come back from there. To see the depths of the Chitta, treat them with kindness, and slowly integrate them, this is the real work. And with every integration, the mind becomes a companion too, less mischievous, more supportive. Now I ask you, would you like to observe your small memories as an observer? Would you hold that child and say, I am here, I have come to keep you safe? If yes, then you are only a step away. A little silence, a little breath, and a little courage.
And this is where this 5-part journey comes to a gentle pause. Not because the inner work is finished, but because you now have the map in your own hands. What you've listened to across these 5 parts was never meant to give you answers. It was meant to help you start listening differently to yourself. The mind will continue to play. The chitta will continue to surface old layers, and awareness will continue to be available quietly, patiently, every moment you remember to return. This may be the last video of this series, but it is not the end of the exploration. On this channel, we'll keep going deeper into the psychology of the mind, the intelligence of the chitta, and the lived experience of awareness in everyday life, in many different ways and stories. If this journey has resonated with you even a little, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, not as a formality, but as a reminder to yourself that this inner conversation matters. New videos will keep unfolding, each one touching a different layer of the same truth. And whenever you feel lost again, remember this: you are not your mind. You are not your wounds. You are the one who can see them. That seeing is where freedom quietly begins.